I cannot quite remember what was the first ever video game that I've played. I vaguely remember some Game Boy titles, some PC software, and of course the arcades back in my hometown in central Italy, but I can't quite say what was my first ever gaming experience. What I can more confidently claim, however, is what was my first quote-unquote real full game that I've played from start to finish, the title being Jackie Chan Adventures for the PS2. I have so many fun memories of this title, but it has been more than a decade and a half since I've last played it. So, did it age well? First things first, roll the intro. Just like the previously reviewed Rough Trigger The Vancore Conspiracy, Jackie Chan Adventure is a PlayStation 2 title that made up my childhood, and to this day I still own the original copy of the game. This time the game was not developed by Italians, but rather by the now defunct Atomic Planet Entertainment, a company located in Middlesbrough in the United Kingdom. For what I gathered, Atomic Planet existed for 9 years and developed some PS2, Xbox, Wii and PC games between 2000 and 2009, including titles such as Robin Hood, Defender of the Crown, the Mega Man Anniversary Collection and of course today's protagonist. There is no successor company to my knowledge, but in 2009 Double 11 was founded and it is today headquartered in the same city. Some years later Suck Monkey Studios was also founded here, so if I were to guess, some, if not many, developers from Atomic Planet moved to these 2 new homes. But going back to Jackie Chan, as the footage in the background suggests, this game is based on the animated TV series of the same name, that ran for 5 years between 2000 and 2005, made and distributed by none other than Sony Pictures. The game is not a one-to-one remake of the series, but it does feature the same characters, same plot premise and the same comic book art style transformed in 3D models. Gameplay-wise, the title is an action-adventure, similarly in style to games like Tomb Raider and Uncharted, but a bit more cartoonish. As with many PS2 games at the time, there is a mix of platforming, combat and puzzle solving. But the real question is one, is the game any good after 20 years from its release? Reviews at the time gave it all sorts of grades, from a 3 out of 10 given by PlayStation Magazine UK to 9 given by Ace Games. So, unlike Rough Trigger, the takes of the game are more mixed. The only way to find out if the quality of the game holds to this day is to revisit Jackie Chan Adventures myself. Let's get more detailed in this retro review. Just like the animated series, the game's premise is pretty straightforward. To defeat the 8 demons trapped in the Panku box, Jackie must collect the 12 talismans scattered around the world, with each granting a specific superpower. With the help of Uncle Chan and his niece Jade, Jackie embarks in this, as the name suggests, adventure. Maybe not the most complex of storylines, but for the PS2 era this premise was more than enough to kickstart a title. I do like the fact that the premise of the game is narrated and showed in the style of the original cartoon. The game is a linear action-adventure with various missions taking place all around the world and beyond. San Francisco is the hub role of the game, but in general, levels take place in unique and foreign locations. These locations are filled with enemies to defeat and puzzles to solve, both actions done with the power of talismans collected in every chapter. Think of talismans as the game's power-ups that allow Jackie to progress further. In the first mission, for instance, in the Mexican temple, there are corridors where Jackie needs to run very fast and jump very high. Things he can normally not do, but thanks to the rabbit and rooster talisman found in the temple, he can. Every mission in the game is structured around this way, though not all talismans have useful powers after the mission. Talismans like the tiger, the rat and the sheep can only be used in very specific situations and are used like twice each in the whole game. Some other talismans like the horse, the dog and the pig do change the combat, but they can be ignored without much of a consequence. And speaking of combat, just like in Rough Trigger, even if the game is rich in different fighting combos, there is no reason why you should pick one over the other, making the combat fairly easy. What's the deal with these useless combos? Was this a PS2 thing across the board? The bosses of the game do take a little bit more effort, but not that much. They are usually beaten by either using a specific talisman or item. The challenge is more on how to find the weak spot rather than the fight itself. Don't get me wrong, combat in general is not boring per se, but if you're looking for a challenging fighting game, this is not it. The puzzles and explorable areas are done better. While I was able to complete the game in about 5 hours, even after 15 plus years I remember the solutions for many puzzles, making my game time 2 to 3 hours shorter than average. The platforming works, and there are some very well designed levels. I only wish they utilized the unique talismans more. The narrative aspect of the game is in my opinion decent. Now let me be clear, the plot of the game is nothing to write home about. It's simplistic and some character gets no development whatsoever. But I must confess that despite all of that, I really enjoyed it, even after so much time. The plot is all over the place, things happen just because. It is chaotic, but man if I really had a laugh while playing Jackie Chan. The characters are so silly and unpredictable, and I just love them. Uncle Chan is eccentric and sarcastic, Jackie is fooling around all the time, and the Black Hand members, the evil team that wants to stop Jackie, are so goofy. I do not know if this is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, but I usually prefer to have a cathartic narrative over a decent but plain one. The game does not take itself too seriously, and neither should you. I mean, just hear these highlights.
Hey, that's not fair. We're looker than we smart. Smarter than we look.
We're aware that you recently acquired some talismans from a temple in Mexico.
How does everyone know this?
Who's there?
There's nobody here. Just a stray cat. Meow.
Now, just to set the record straight, while I think the English dubbing of the game is not badly made, James is also the voice of Jackie in the cartoon after all, I do have a sweet spot over the Italian one, specifically when it comes to Andrea Ward dubbing Jackie.
Il posto sembra questo. Ora devo trovare il modo di entrare. Forse potrei passare da quella porta in cima al tempio.
But going back to the plot, I think Jackie Chan Adventures deserves some credit to be so wacky yet consistent. The locations that are explored are interesting, and there are even some nice recurring gags. My favorite one is the save functionality. To save the game, you have to talk to a fisherman that somehow it's all around the world everywhere you go, even on the moon. Yes, that's right. Apart from exploring locations such as Mexico, Alcatraz and Spain, you also get to see some extraordinary places such as the moon and the center of the earth. Not too bad for a PlayStation 2 title. Another thing that I appreciated about the game was implementation of minigames to play between missions. Apart from the auction minigame that is very simplistic, Jackie Chan Adventures also has a card and a fishing minigame. These two are a bit more complex than what they seem, even if both are quick to play. I find it puzzling why developers put that many different cards and fishes just to add that extra bit to the game. There is no reason why there is a metagame for a figurine collector, yet here we are, and I'm certainly not complaining. But the thing I like the most about the title is the aesthetics. They captivated me as a kid. I adore Jackie Chan's unique art style. Of course, back when I was 6, I did not know the many different graphics a game could have, but even back then I treasured how cool the cel shading style was, better than a generic cartoon or realistic look. Now, keep in mind that my, let's say, enhanced PS2 does upgrade the graphics to 1080p, giving the game a more modern look, but even in the old CTR television I used to have, the game did not look half bad. But again, more than the graphics themselves, I want to praise the art direction the game has. It does not always work, but when it does, it gives the world that much more life that can be felt even after 20 years. There are some things that creep me out, such as the never blinking NPCs, but the all-togetherness works and makes this world visually memorable. From the comic strips on the wall to the cel-shaded sea, I really like the way this game looks. In fact, now that I mention it, the game is indeed filled with contradictions. You have a gameplay that is solid, but talismans are rarely used. You have a plot that is fun, but also disorganized. You have an art style that is messy, yet somehow beautiful. No wonder out of the few reviews I found about the game, it receives grades from an awful 3 to a wonderful 9. It would be easy to state something generic like, in my opinion, the game's somewhere in the middle, but honestly I have the feeling that this is the type of game that you might love or hate. I of course have a strong bias towards it, since it was the quote-unquote first game that I've played, but even I recognize some of the game's shortcomings. In my previous video about the obscure PS2 Rush Trigger game that I cited more than once, I defined the game as bland, not good nor bad in anything specific, but just average in every aspect. Jackie Chan is kind of the opposite. I feel that the game has a lot more potential and it can either be praised for its bold game design choices or hated for missing so many chances. So if you are into retro gaming and want to give Jackie Chan Adventures a try, I invite you to play the game with an open mind, recognizing the project as a confusing yet charming product that may give you a nice laugh, like it did for me. The game is definitely not winning Game of the Generation anytime soon, but I'm more than glad that it was the game that kickstarted my love for video games, and by extension, this YouTube channel. I don't give grades in my reviews, but if I were to make an exception, I would give Jackie Chan Adventures for the PlayStation 2 a passing grade. Nothing too high, but still to boost it up a bit. That boost that the game never got back when it was released 20 years ago. I had a blast playing Jackie Chan Adventures after so much time. I was surprised by how much I remembered of the game, from the big missions to the smallest of details. I even have the feeling that as a kid I started mimicking Jackie's movements. I literally have the same door opening animation in real life. It's quite uncanny. Realistically, even for its time, this game would have flown under the radar. Mind you that in 2004, games like Half-Life 2 and GTA San Andreas were released. But nevertheless, I'm glad that the game still holds up despite its flaws. If you're into retro gaming, you should give cel-shaded Jackie a chance. If you made it this far, I wanted to thank you one-to-many Jackie Chan's times for watching today's video. I cannot state how happy I am to have made this retrospect. This game holds quite a sentimental value to me, and I had to thank the folks at Atomic Planet for making my childhood game by making this video. I hope you enjoyed these retro gaming reviews. I've made a handful, but do let me know if you want more. I wish you a wonderful day, and until next time, arrivederci.